Hey Luke, do we have an issue where the calendar events have not been updated?
I don't know.
Because
Uh,
I see in the Slack that um, Ben Powell had there's a recording, looks like from literally an hour ago that was submitted. Oh, looks like Ben and Andre are here
but
too. So
everyone's here. Maybe we'll find out.
yes.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey everyone. It's like flooding near me, so I, I'm gonna be here, but like might like have to look outside for a little bit. I'm in Texas, so it's like a little
oh,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, that's bad.
Yep. Let me see. Andrea, are you gonna run or are you gonna host?
Um, yeah, I can. I'm in a noisy environment today though, so I don't know how good the Wi-Fi is, but I can try.
Okay, yeah. If you can't, I can try as well. But like I said, I just mentioned that it's flooding pretty bad. But yeah,
Let me try. Hopefully it works. Um, yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it, so here we are. So okay, hopefully you can see my screen.
yes. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, good. Today's July 7th. Share link to this. Okay, so link to the notes is in the chat. Anyone's want to join on the notes in case you would like to sign yourself in. Okay. Right. So yeah, I set up the basic agenda. I don't think we had any topic prepared for today in particular, but yeah, so feel free to raise your hand if you would like to um, discuss something in particular. I think we have a couple of new attendees to this meeting, or maybe I just missed a few meetings and I haven't seen Luke and Adam before. I don't know if you
Yep.
just wanted to.
Yeah, I should probably add myself as a new attendee, properly introduce myself. Hi, my name is Adam Kaplan. I've been at Red Hat for quite a while now, I think 7+ years. I am a contributor to the Shipwright and Tecton projects primarily, although I do a few other things here and there. And more recently done a lot of stuff with the Conflux project, which is not in any kind of Linux Foundation project. And I previously was involved with the CDF as Red Hat's governing board representative. So
Cool.
good to see you,
Welcome,
Andrea,
welcome.
and pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah, welcome, Adam. Thanks.
Yeah, I can
Um,
introduce myself. I'll be just off camera because I'm also eating breakfast as well. But Luke Phillips, staff engineer, actually recently entering free agency. So if anyone wants to pay me to work on CDEvents, I'd love to do that. But active in the Argo and the platform engineering space. You'll see me at CNCF talks, around a lot of the continuous delivery and Argo and GitOps, things like that. And just kind of looking to explore this space. I just kind of naturally found my way to needing CD events as a solution to problems I've been working on, and I'm just kind of looking to learn more and see what's going on.
Cool. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for the introduction. Okay. I mean, we have a few things that we can go through, but maybe we can start with like specific ideas or things from the participant. I don't know, Adam, if you wanted to bring up the discussion about the release event, I think we could start with that. That's okay for everyone.
Yeah. So I think I put this idea, or at least started floating this idea in the Slack chat, but wanted to kind of raise it here before going down the path of submitting maybe a more formal issue around this. So I've been working as part of this Conflux project. One of the things that we've kind of discovered is there's probably a need for us to be able to broadcast and also receive a kind of like release event when a piece of software is updated, perhaps not in so much a continuous delivery fashion, although maybe you could argue that it would also be continuous delivery, where the net is you would be delivering the notification of an artifact or a group of artifacts has an update, and perhaps more importantly, along with the list of things that have been updated, also associating information about the content that's in the release through particularly issue tracker links. So, for example, if you got a project on GitHub, they announce a kind of a release that has a specific tag that has several issues that are associated with it being fixed. Also, vulnerabilities is something that's kind of important. So if there's a set of vulnerabilities that have been addressed, having, say, the CVE identifiers for those vulnerabilities listed is also kind of important. And I kind of want to start there and see if there's prior history around this sort of idea within CDEvents, and B, if there might be potentially other things that should be potentially included as metadata within this event.
Thanks, Adam. So I think that there are a couple of things we discussed before which are related in different ways. One is we discussed in the past having some kind of aggregation concept in CDEvents. So today we have artifact events, but an artifact is just a single artifact, and there is no concept of collections of artifacts. So if you want to basically, if you produce multiple artifacts at once for a release, you need to send like many individual events, but there's no concept to kind of glue them together. And I think there were other areas where we had similar
Yeah, there's actually
ideas.
an open GitHub issue for this thing.
Okay.
I can link it if you give me a second,
Okay.
Andre.
Yeah, that would be great. I was looking for it and couldn't find it. The other thing is something that Emil, another CDEvent contributor, long-standing contributor, that he proposed is in terms of supply chain management. If it would be good to have some events that allow you to be informed when like some of your dependencies get new release, so that you may decide based on metadata that is associated with this releases to whether you want to do something about those. And I think that there was an issue from Enel about that as well. I don't know if you have that, Andy, Ben. Otherwise, I can add the link later.
I just added it in the doc. I don't know if that's
this is the okay. This is the bulk API. Yes. There was another one that I had in mind. Let me sorry, just look for it quickly. I don't remember if it was in spec or in community. I think it was in.
And then
Almost more like
I might have missed it, Adam. Was your definite release in this case? Like, is it a particular service release, or is this more of an aggregate of like a lot of services? Because I'm getting my wires crossed because someone also recently had a similar, they wanted a release event, but they wanted, I think, something a little bit different. So I want to make sure I have the same depth or the right definition.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of almost coming from the angle of like a more like enterprise software background where it it could conceptually result in the update and deployment of a service. And that service would consist of multiple parts. So it's almost like an application is updated. And then
Right, right.
a good example would be like so we do a lot of stuff with um, operator framework operators and the sort of operator lifecycle manager. And that's probably the closest analog I can think of where um, an operator will consist of like basically a manifest, and within that manifest are references to a bunch of related quote unquote operand images. And usually when there's a operator update, um, the whole sort of list of operand images is updated along with that sort of manifest.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So
And so it kind of like cascades through.
is this your first time talking with about this to me? Because I swear I had a conversation just like 2 weeks ago on this exact idea. So that's why I'm like, this
So I
sounds
think this might have been, we might have started talking about this 2 weeks ago, potentially,
okay,
in
okay.
Slack. Um,
Interesting. Okay, okay. So I see your use case, but I swear it was also on a Zoom call, but I might be just
yeah.
misremembering. Um, okay. So I think a good use case for this, from the sounds of it, especially, is for microservices, because microservices are usually bundled as a bigger service, right? And a good, like, so I work in the Spinnaker workspace, I'm a maintainer there. And so Spinnaker has 12 different services, right? Microservices, like Cloud Driver, it has Orca, which is the orchestrator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it sounds like, because we don't have an event specifically for Spinnaker, which that could technically be, no. This was on a Zoom call. So I think it was someone else from actually like JP Morgan or something like that. But it was, what we said to them was that they could use the same service deployed event to say that that's Spinnaker, and then just have groupings of, or like links, we call them links to the individual components, to say that, all these components were updated, and then this bigger thing was updated, that kind of like this abstraction that grouped it. Would that constitute the right thinking, or what you're kind of going for? Or would that still not be enough to do a particular thing?
Yeah, so one of the use cases that I'm kind of like working on is where um and it's almost like the case of you have like a software vendor where they are publishing um a set of artifacts, and the who is announcing that, who is producing the software and who is ultimately deploying and consuming the software are two different parties. So um it's almost like you could almost think of it like the purpose would be like an RSS feed where it's like, okay, this software was updated, um and then a sort of a consumer would then take action based on the fact that, oh, we've got this release. Uh, it says these are the uh, new artifacts that were produced. Um, Whatever machinery then takes action based on the fact that these things came in, and there's you can like build potentially like reporting around. And with this change, these things were either fixed or these vulnerabilities were patched and so forth,
Gotcha,
which
gotcha. Okay,
might
this is
motivate. Yeah.
yeah, this is a little bit different then. Um, so with a follow-up question, would you imagine that this is its own subject, or is this a predicate on like source code change, like a changed event? Like, because when I think release, like that could be a potentially Git tag, or it could be an artifact, or it could be,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here?
Yeah. Um, I think those can be correlated. Um, uh, I guess the challenge would be that there might not necessarily be just one source repository. There might be multiple repositories involved. So it might be something that if it wouldn't necessarily be coming from one source system, there might be for even a potential like manual triggered action,
Okay. So I guess what my
which is a
question,
little it's probably not that helpful because there's like it's almost like the universe um could be producing it.
yeah. Well, I think what I was wondering is, I mean, you answered part of it, but I guess what I'm wondering is, specifically, do you see this as its own, like, for instance, we have change dot like updated, and then this would be like a change dot release, artifact dot release, or do you see this as a release dot something? Like maybe a release dot updated, or major version update, release dot minor version up, like how do you
Oh
envision this
yeah,
working? Yeah.
I think I'd have to think about how that would if it would
Oh,
yeah
gotcha,
versus
gotcha.
yeah
Yeah, yeah.
versus and versus it would be like because like I can see um yeah because it could be something where um like there like it could be the because you could I mean the this is also where we're like coming into like metadata. Like if you're talking about like semantic version upgrade, like you may want to say this can upgrade from these prior versions potentially.
Right, right.
Um, but that can get messy very quickly.
Yeah, well, my worry is having it as a predicate because, like I said, like with GitHub, right? Like there could be multiple, or it might just not be Git. It could be GitHub, it could be Garrett, it could be GitLab, with all different
Yeah.
sort of tags, right? So it's like, does release make sense there? But like, if they do a release in GitHub, is that captured then as an artifact dot release, or like, I'm just kind of like wondering these questions. But it does sound useful. Um,
So,
so
oh,
I
sorry.
definitely think that there is some questions that will need to be answered. Specifically like what we talked about here, and I'm sure more are definitely going to pop up. Um, but I always like to lead into is, how do you imagine other tools when they consume this release event? What would they do? Is this more an observability event, or is this more of an interoperability event, or like how do you envision tools working with this event?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I could see it being like in my mind, an interop scenario would be like here's a hypothetical that a release event comes in, it then causes a sort of like update in a GitOps repository, which then leads to a deployment or a update to some kind of um, deployment. And now I'm going down the Kubernetes hole, which is um, something where I too should probably challenge myself to not have it just be a cloud native thing, but a like even say firing a Jenkins job that deploys some kind of update.
Gotcha. So you're envisioning one of the main use cases being almost like a way of triggering some sort of
Yeah,
behavior.
that's the prime it could be triggering, and it could even be and this is a use case that we're even like right now with the teams I'm working with, where the use case is that it creates a Jira ticket and then someone
Right,
is
right.
doing things by hand because the automation's not in place.
I think this ticket that ML created a few years ago was kind of similar. Well, it would apply to as a use case to this kind of trigger. So you have a release made, you get updates basically. You can filter these events based on your dependencies, and you can use these events to do like dependency updates, and you can react to that in different ways. And one way could be if you like the dependabot way. So you receive the events, you create a PR out of that, and then someone can, decide what to do with that, or it could be something like that. So, but yeah, I think this is certainly it sounds like an interesting type of events that something that would be good to have. And as Ben said, I think there may be a few things to discuss and iron out. And I think the question Ben was making they're good like hints of things to think about when maybe creating an issue um, or a PR to propose them. So like thinking how it would look like. Is it going to be a subject or a predicate? What kinds of common use cases that would be built around these events. But yeah, so I think it's definitely something that I would be happy to see at least in CDEvents. I think it would
Yeah,
be
yeah. No, I'm
would be
actually
useful.
really in favor of it as long as we kind of get the idea down clearly. Like, because I can think of like a bunch of use cases just like off of triggering. So I really like the idea. Um, and yeah, so like if that's an issue you want to create, and then we can start thinking about like what it could look like answering some of these questions. And then if you're open to writing the proposal as well, Adam, like by all means, like I think this is actually really, really a good idea.
Yep. That's something I would definitely be interested in. Now, I don't know if when I can't make promises to when I'm going to do this, but um, it was something that was floating as part of a face-to-face that was going on
Cool. All
now
right.
2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, yeah. Whenever you're able to get to it, just let us know, and we'll be happy to review it.
And I think if you look in the specs repo, Adam, there have been previous proposals for features, so maybe they can be used as inspiration if you want to start writing a proposal, and also feel
Yep.
free
Yeah, I
to
think I was
email.
looking at some of the prior ones that are either opened or probably also worth looking at some of the ones that were actually successfully closed as good examples.
Right. I mean, is there anything else you would like to discuss, or would you like to go deeper into the topic today in the meeting, or you happy to go and create a proposal first and discuss on the proposal further, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think probably the latter. I think I've got a good at least base of things to like think about in terms of um, particularly like how would tools react to it, and maybe also start thinking about what tools would create this in the first place. I think that's probably like having a few like hypothetical workflows in mind probably helps.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for bringing this up. All right. So we still have some time, and I was wondering something I wanted to bring up as part of a roadmap for releases. Talking about releases again, but from a different perspective. I mean, we did some work towards a V05, which would be the next release. And then I guess we did a lot of other work in terms of planning for what is going to be the next format for generating SDKs and so forth. And we've had a lot of discussion about different topics. And we kind of put V05 on hold. The original idea for V05 was to try and, there were a few breaking changes that we needed to do. We're still in 0.x releases, and we want to clean up things, align some naming and some attributes that were not properly aligned. So we've done a lot of those. And yeah, so the question I wanted to bring is, what do we want to do about V05? I think there are a few like big pieces of work that have been proposed, like moving to asyncIO.com, or there are a few other proposals related to DORA metrics, to other features for the protocol. Do we want to try and get any of those into the next release? And if not, we could, cut a new release and then plan for everything else that we're looking into to make to go into like another release in the future. So I just wanted to.
Yeah. So yeah, Andre, I think some of the tasks that we have are going to take a really long time. So let's conjure a list of like what we can get done in 0.5 and then make a decision based off that. Because I'm not all too sure what would be in 0.5, unless you already know, Andre, do you?
Yeah, it's been a while, so I would need to, go through what we merged since 0.41 and what we have outstanding there open. So we can, we can try to do that, some of that work, or also could do that offline if you want, and make like a proposal of what we think we could have in 0.5.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and do that then, Andre. Like, yeah, I think getting a list and then we can just do it in Slack, and then if it makes sense, because since we haven't done a release in a really long time, just getting something out, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there will be some work associated with it to, update the SDKs, because we have some breaking changes there. So we'll need to do like new release of the SDKs. And I guess we were hoping to have that sorted out now by the change to async.io, but that will require a lot of prior work. So I don't think we can wait for that before doing the next release. I agree with you. So yeah, okay. So I can, can work offline and try to bring up a list of what we have done and what we could get into release before making a release. And then we can make some plan for that. Yeah, so in terms of SDKs, oh, looks like we lost Ben. I hope everything is all right. The weather is a bit scary. See if he's able to join. Oh, no, he wrote I have to drop. Okay, anyways. For the SDKs, I was going to say is that for the SDKs, we have maintainers for the Rust SDK. David is working on that. I guess myself and Ben can do work on the Go SDK. Our main Java SDK maintainer is not with in the project anymore, fortunately, but hopefully we can find someone who can help with that. Okay. Well, is there anything else from your side, Luke or Adam, that you would like to discuss today? Otherwise, I don't have anything else for the meeting for today.
I could ask a quick question.
Yeah.
It was in a Slack thread. I think we were talking about the same pull request in Argo. This is something I'm just kind of investigating if work has been done elsewhere already. And I think between, I don't know if it was you and Michael Crenshaw saying that someone in CDEvents was going to possibly look at like how we might map, say, Argo CD to CDEvents. I know Michael Crenshaw had put up a proposal and then had closed it. I don't know if anything else has tapped there. I don't know if you know or
Yes, so that's a great question. So we had some conversation about CDEvents and Argo with Michael, and so at the time we came to the conclusion that to start with, to get a POC would be good to use things like the notification service from Argo CD to produce the events, and possibly Argo events to consume them. And then we also tried to bring together, to align with the work that was being done on Flux. Flux supports CDEvents, so there was some work done there in terms of consuming CDEvents, I believe, Flux. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where we stopped. So we needed people to invest the time to follow up on these, and bring Flux people and Argo people together and define like common approach for producing and consuming these events. But I don't think we went much further than that. There is a RCD that I started about that. Let me see. Yeah, this one. To start looking at mapping of events, but that's as far as it goes. So I think it would be great to have this implemented, and if we could, I think build some kind of POC showing this, then if it go a long way towards going to talking with the Argo folks again and say, well, this can work with Argo notification. Do we want to get like a deeper, more native integration done? So I think that was the plan, and it's as far as we got last time. So I think it didn't move as we, so we didn't find someone who had the bandwidth to drive this forward at the time. But yeah,
it sounds like the discussions were kind of around if we look at, say, the notifications controller in Argo, if someone prototyped a kind of adapter from Argo type events to CD type events, to kind of prove out, this looks good, and if that looks great, then the next level of discussion would be, do we make this native to core Argo CD rather than an adapter through the notifications controller? Is that kind of sounds like where the discussion is going, and that maybe is the same idea with Flux then as well?
Yeah, so I think so with if I remember correctly, with Argo notifications, you can build some kind of templates. I don't know if you like JSON templates or so you can you can use that to produce your CDEvents directly if you have the right templates in place. But it's not very. I guess it's yeah, relatively brittle type of integration. It would be more solid if you could use like the CDEvents SDKs, and then it makes it a lot easier, especially if you want to update to new CDEvents version and so forth. If you're using the SDKs to produce the events. So, but yeah, so I guess that was the idea, to start with like a lightweight type of approach, using the templates from notifications to produce events, and build some showcase to demonstrate how this could be used. And then as a next step to, build a more native implementation into Argo CD. So for on the Flux side, let me just look it up. So, there. Yes, the receiver. Yeah, so this was built into the Flux notification controller receiver. But I'm not sure. I think chemical. Yeah. Okay, so the goal was, yeah, so allow receive CDEvents and trigger reconciliation of resources based on events. So let me share this on the notes as well.
Cool.
So this
Yeah.
is a link to the proposal, but it has been implemented, so it is.
Yeah.
It is there. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all I have. But if you have interest in following up on this, please let me know. Happy to join the conversation. Unfortunately, I don't have time to drive this myself, but if you're interested in driving this topic forward, I'd be happy to support.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna keep investigating this some and see what I figure out. I'm sure I'll have plenty more questions for you, and then on the Argo side, and yeah, I'll see if I can wrap my head around it, and maybe see if I can make it a possibility to work on it.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, another thing that came to mind on the Argo side, something that Michael mentioned at the time. I think they have one service within Argo CD that is kind of don't remember the exact name, something like image updater. So basically, the idea is that if you're doing GitOps on a set of manifests that point to images with version, container images with version, and the new version of an image is published, then this service from Argo CD side can poll the container registry. If it sees that the new version is there, it can automatically create a PR for you proposing the upgrade of the manifest to the new version. And yeah, one possible use case for CDEvents there was to kind of replace the polling with reacting to events, or maybe not necessarily replace it, but complement it with the ability of reacting to events. And in that scenario, CDEvents could be like a good candidate for that type of integration.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's one of the things, as you should like to say, this Flux example. I think it's interesting, Argo, where we could say in their notifications, create some brittle templates that I think there's an easy place to get Argo to emit events. But Argo is interesting because there's lots of places it reacts to things, listening to events, whether it's like you're saying, the image updater example, whether it's Git changes, there's different parts of Argo that are listening to events. They have a webhook API that's separate from its Git capabilities. So yeah, I think that makes the discussion more interesting as we go along, like how Argo would receive CDEvents.
All right. Well, yeah. So thanks again for joining the meeting today, dear. Nice to meet you. And yeah, looking forward to continue this conversation. Let us know if you have any questions or feedback, inputs that you would like to provide on this, and we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, I'll try to keep attending and getting up to speed on the CDEvent side of things, and see where this goes.
Great.
Yep.
Well, until next time then.
Yep, great chatting with you.
Bye.
See ya.